I think it's clear that the optimization of AAA games nowadays is severely lacking. I don't think that needs to be said anymore, it's a dead horse at this point. What I find more interesting, however, is the behavior of you, me, the general consumer, people who, despite the bad releases, still believe the next big game is worth buying, or even pre-ordering, only for them to fall for it again. So why do we keep falling for it? I think first of all, it's a reinforcement effect, kind of like that meme, 90% of gamblers quit before they hit it big. And most of the time, you do lose, but every once in a while, you get that satisfying win. And it's the possibility and the satisfaction of that win that keeps you coming back. And there's a similar effect at play with why some people might pre-order or buy while knowing better. Plenty of games that have come out have missing features or run horrible. It's overall just not what was promised. But every now and then you get a release that's actually really good. Think Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3. Those become the metaphorical jackpot that convinces us to keep pre-ordering, even if we've been burned before. It's variable reinforcement, essentially rewards that come at random. It's an incredibly strong way to lock in behavior, and it's the same way that gambling or gacha games function. It's that rare win that makes the dozens of losses feel worth it, at least in the moment. There is another bias at work here. It's called loss aversion. Simply put, we hate losing out, despite it being the worst choice, even if it's obvious. It's all over in the marketing of pre-orders or deluxe editions. It frames pre-ordering as a kind of loss. And if you think about it, right, saving money would make more sense, like you paying $30 extra for a few pixels or cosmetics. But in actuality, it's being framed that you're quote-unquote missing out on content. A more egregious example is early access to a game. You get tricked into paying extra to play a few days before release, when the truth is that the game has already come out. They just put it behind a paywall and made you believe the opposite. The fear of being left out can feel way stronger than the rational thought of, I should wait. So people choose the pre-order, not because it's logical, but because we're essentially tricked into thinking that we're going to miss out. If you spend time, energy, money, whatever, into something, you might consciously or unconsciously feel like you have to justify it. And this gets worse with more time or money spent on it, especially if the result is bad. So if you drop $70 on a pre-order and the game is a buggy mess on release, at that point, a person doesn't outright want to admit that they maybe even wasted the money. Instead, they start to double down. You have cases where people feel forced to play a game or wait until it gets better, kind of like you see on Steam, like someone who's played over 500 hours and then drops a negative review of the game. There's also some that just wait until it gets better. I'm looking at No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk, which over time did become worth their money, but it took years for that. Then you have other people that become extra vocal. Complaining becomes part of how you get your money's worth. And it's such a strange thing to me that the more invested you are, the harder it is to walk away. This is why people keep sinking hours into games that they don't even like anymore, or stay subscribed to services they barely use. Once we've paid, we'd rather stick with it, even if it doesn't make sense. And finally, I want to finish off with a very important side note. What I've talked about today makes our behavior understandable, not shameful. As a consumer, we all get exploited like this, and we are not immune to the wide variety of tricks that marketing has up their sleeve. This is the tip of the iceberg almost, I would say. But then when I see videos or posts about how gamers are refusing to buy games and how they're fighting back, I can't help but wonder how well the next Battlefield, Call of Duty, or gacha game is going to do. How successful will the expansion for Monster Hunter Wilds be despite the heavy pushback it's been receiving? Are gamers really voting with their wallet? Or are these sensationalist titles and headlines a more triumphant depiction of a much more shallow reality? And on that thought, I take my leave. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.